Hey there, I come to give you an update on some of the field work that the Wilder Mira team was up to earlier this spring, and this was about riparian tree planting. This fitted into our Restore Riparian Forests project under our wider project of the Wilder Mira Rewilding Hub. Many of these sub-projects really overlap together, and this is one of them. So restoring riparian forests is one of our strategic and key projects to have a basin-wide impact, but it also, for example, means the habitat restoration that is necessary for the Saving Endemic Fish project. Also, when it is happening along the Mira River on a plot where we are actually removing eucalyptus, which is where I'm at in our rewilding abandoned eucalyptus plantation project. Basically, here we remove the pressure of non-native, a very dominant non-native tree species, eucalyptus, and this is a major way to assist the natural regeneration of the oak forests. Let me show you over there. Oak forests are starting on the hillside. There are still some eucalyptus trees. But over here, which is the habitat for riparian forests, we have, at least on this riverbank, we have removed the eucalyptus. And now we want to see these lush riparian forests coming back. So over here, what we are doing is a trial comparing these situations. We have control plots where we did not plant trees. We will see what spontaneous regeneration does on its own. And we are quite hopeful about that too. But then we also have two other types of treatment. One where we just planted some trees, so it's kind of an enrichment planting. And the third one, we planted some riparian trees, but we also did control of the brambles, which is what happened in this plot where I am right now. But of course, they already grew and they will stay here for the summer. We will do a second maintenance after the summer. All these trees were then, this is a big effort, but we think it makes sense since we are running a trial and we want to know also the success of these trees. They were all marked on our GIS project by Vesna, our forestry student intern that is helping us out with the tree inventory of all the eucalyptus trees at the plot, so we can not only better plan the interventions ahead of cutting the eucalyptus and the trials on resprouting control, but also monitor the results of those trials, of assisted natural regeneration trials, etc. And so we will be able to say later what was also the survival rate of these 1 year tree seedlings after their first summer, which is the main bottleneck. For the process of planting these trees, it is basically someone goes ahead choosing the best places. We call this micro-siting. We choose natural depressions or little veins in the soil, or a bit more shaded spots, but not too shaded, of course, not close to big trees already established. We try to do a random distribution across the plot, so not looking like grids or lines like plantations. And we spread trees some 3-4 meters apart, sometimes 2 meters apart, more or less. The idea here is that we are trying to establish a tree canopy faster. There will be some trees already breaking through the bramble thickets, and these emergent trees will then start a canopy, some shade that will inhibit later on the continuous growth of these bramble thickets, and then there would be more chance for the next tree seedlings to grow. All this work was done by the Wilder Mira team, of course, the field team, but also by many volunteers who joined us for these days and came in with really great spirit and a lot of dedication to do this meticulous but extensive job of planting trees. And big shout out to them. And to also give the information that anyone can join, there will be a link in the description for the sign-up form to our local volunteer database. We are not watering these trees, so we really want to see how they survive naturally, although let's say again, this is an exceptional year to do this kind of intervention, tree planting, because we have more moisture in the soil than lately in the past decades. Today is 20th of March, the day before the equinox of spring, and we had planned for today a volunteering activity, a morning of planting trees, for which we made an open call to our local volunteer group that everybody can join. And we've been postponing these planting activities for a while now because of the intense rainy season that we've had, actually stormy and with lots of floods. We've only been able to come back to this site almost a month ago, and we've been waiting to be sure that another flood wasn't coming and we could resume the planting and call volunteers also for some of those days. But yeah, we just had 2 days of good rain, but because the soil capacity is so full of water by this point, the floods start really fast. We have already started planting a little bit, so you see those marks there. Those are ash trees that we already planted. It was very nice. We had the visit of the Wilder Yasuni team. So Freddy, Leah and Adriana and Olga came to visit our project, and they helped us plant the first trees, which was a true blessing for the Wilder Mira team.
So whenever you'll be guiding tours here, Teresa, you'll be showing that these trees were planted by somebody from the Amazon.
Yeah, we can totally say that. That's true. Yes. Well, I would say Freddy from the Yasuni. Besides the ash and the Portuguese oak that we've been propagating at our plant nursery with seeds collected from this exact site and that we'll be planting in this Riparian gallery area, we are also planting 24 seedlings of Quercus canariensis, Algerian oak, which is a critically endangered species of oak in Portugal. And this is part of a project from Carlos Villaviçosa, an expert in tree oak species in Portugal, the expert in tree oak species in Portugal, who has this project about planting genotype referenced trees of Algerian oak across different suitable sites in the southwest of Portugal. And this has been a very kind bridge from one of our consultants to the project, Udo and Claudia Schwarzer. And so, yeah, we've been given 24 of these very special seedlings to plant at our project site. So we have 2 nuclei of 12 seedlings, one over here in this area and another one slightly a bit more further up from the river. And yeah, we hope all of them will thrive here and one day they can become mother trees, perhaps. So here we are today for a bit more of alder planting. We are taking advantage of the low tide when we can more easily access the bottom there and the riverbank that needs to be stabilized with a bit more riparian trees. And yeah, we are filling in let's say, holes in the riparian gallery in this area where we have removed eucalyptus trees and later planted some ash trees. Now, the other places where we were doing a bit of riparian tree planting were 3 stretches of the river Mira, where the municipality of Odmira had contracted some intervention work last year to remove invasive giant reeds. So these were stretches. One is at the river park right by the town. Another big clump of giant reed was at one of the few municipal lands of Odmira, that is a farm also close to the town. And then there was also in a very unstable riverbank close to a public road, even though it's on a private landowner property, that the municipality wanted to intervene to prevent the collapse of this riverbank. So yeah, last year there were these works of removing these invasive species that really dominates riverbanks in a monocultured way and not with the biggest value for biodiversity. And there were tree planting works afterwards. The municipality expressed the necessity of doing an enrichment planting of these sites. And so, because this fits into the goal of our Restore Riparian forests, we basically want a more shaded, biodiverse, cooler river forest ecosystem. We decided to help out the municipality, and we went on to do planting on these 3 sites, which also actually only took us 3 not full days also. And this was done not only with the help of volunteers again, but also with the participation of 3 amazing municipal workers. We think it is worthy to do this kind of collaborations and can't wait to see the results. And last but not least, let's say that the Rewilding Abandoned Eucalyptus project overviews a continuous flora monitoring of its pilot plot, and these will overlap monitoring the results of this trial on restoring the riparian forest with tree planting and the control of brambles. How? So besides the individual checking on the planted seedlings done by Vesna, and that we will repeat again after the summer to assess their survival in this first main bottleneck, Francisco set up these quadrat areas where he assesses the plant species cover, and that will be repeated in future years, so we can evaluate the evolution of the plant community here. So today we are here putting up some poles for Francisco to do the flora monitoring later. We're going to use the method of the quadrats. How is the name exactly?
Blanket method.
Blanket method. So yeah, putting up the poles. This is one of the sectors of the Riparian Gallery Assisted Natural Regeneration Trial. This is actually a sector where we have not planted or controlled the brambles and other thorny climbing plants. Yeah, Francisco is putting the first pole of 1 quadrat there. Over there, there is another area where we planted and controlled the brambles and similar plants, and already has a quadrat. I want to talk to you about these trials that we are doing here, and also because some of you in a previous vlog commented that you would like us to talk a bit more on the relationships of all the climbing plants that sometimes we go on naming about in this area, and with the Riparian Gallery. So these trials are exactly about that. As you can see, this area is already very much green, and it is full of natural regeneration happening. one of it being a lot brambles. So we've got a lot of climbing plants, a big group of climbing plant species growing on riparian galleries. This is because, of course, here the soils are fresher, more fertile, so a lot of fertility for all the weeds, herbs, more tender plants to grow. And yeah, there is fertility for a big density of vegetation. And because trees, also riparian trees, they do grow very fast. Right here we have an alder tree, an ash tree. The competition for space for sun is fierce, and therefore the climbing plants, because they can take up the opportunity to go up with the trees and find their space and light. They also create a lot more ecological niche, a lot more strata in the forest structure, so they are interesting for the connectivity of these places, not only vertically but also sometimes in between trees for arborical animals. And they also help to protect the riverbanks, because they also they crawl over the ground, and sometimes they make some thick carpets covering riverbanks when there is no riparian trees yet established. I want to show you an example of some of the species that we've got here. And yeah, there is a place here. Here I can show you a few species in just a square around me. So we've got our famous brambles, Rubus ulmifolius. We've got vines here by this river. We've got Vitis vitifera. Actual grapevines. They give some really tiny grapes in this area. We've got the rough bindweed, Smilax aspera, and we've got now I'm going for the brambles, and the rough bindweed are thorny. Let me introduce you another thorny climbing plant that is really thorny and it hurts a lot. The evergreen rose, but it's beautiful, Rosa sempervirens. So these are adaptations of these climbing plants to herbivory in the Mediterranean biome. Then on these more tender ones, we've got the vine is another perennial climbing plant, just like these other three that I mentioned. But we've also got some very interesting annual ones. So we've got the white brioni here. We've got the black brioni too here, Tamus communis, or Dioscorea communis nowadays. And we've got a favorite of mine is the Clematis campaniflora, or the bell-shaped Clematis, something like this. We've got two other species at least that I'm not finding right now here, but that we've seen on the plot that are very interesting. The honeysuckle, Madresilva periclinemum, and the common ivy, Hedera helix. But I think this way you've got an idea of the amount of biodiversity of climbing plants just in this narrow stretch of riparian gallery. This will be further detailed in a next vlog with results from the flora and fauna monitoring of these pilot plots. So stay tuned for that, and for the next one where we'll be finally disclosing the results of our fish population and their freshwater habitats monitoring campaign last summer.